Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of day 3 of the Durham Pilgrimage. Before we get started, a quick recap. Myself and Father Alban are currently here on Lindisfarne Island. We are discussing how to get over to the hill which overlooks the priory. At this point, however, we both spot the cross, which is on St Cuthbert's Island. We then both decide that we have to head over to the island right away. There is a bit of a walk out to St Cuthbert's Island, but Father Alban does keep us entertained along the way, and this is where we left you all in part 1, and it's where we'll pick up here in part 2 today. We hope you all enjoy the video, and thank you for coming back to watch.
So initially, St Cuthbert tried to live on the main island, but pilgrims came and, it got a bit busy basically. So he moved out here to this island, and you can still see the ruins of his hermitage there, and the cross marks the spot. But even this became pretty crowded after a period of time, so he moved out across the waters to the Farne Islands, which are out there.
Can't see them for the fog, unfortunately.
Can't see them for the fog, but you have to take a boat to get them. So it was harder for people to reach him, whereas this is connected by a causeway. It has been since his time, so it was easy for pilgrims to come. So this is where St Cuthbert lived out his ascetic life, where we're going now.
And how long did St Cuthbert spend on the island?
Not very long, I can't remember. It certainly, on this island, it certainly wasn't much more than, I think, a year or two, because it just became untenable for him to actually be an ascetic. He would be trying to pray, and then people would come and ask for advice, blessings, because the news of his sanctity had already been well known before he even came here. So he moved to the Farne Islands pretty quickly.
And is that where he spent most of the rest of his days?
Yes, apart from the brief interlude where he was invited to be the Bishop of Lindisfarne, which he accepted humbly after several exhortations from Archbishop Theodore. There, I think.
No.
Did you get a bit wet?
Nearly.
Holy Father Cuthbert, pray to God for us.
And we're here.
Cuthbert's cell.
So this would have been 4 walls originally, and
yes,
would have been where he
a
stayed.
little oratory where he would have prayed. which one would have been the oratory and which one would have been the living room. But I don't know. He would have wanted to face east, which I think is about that way. So maybe this would have been the oratory. I'm not entirely sure. But part of me always kind of thinks, oh, I'm here on the misty St Cuthbert's Island, and at some point the saint is just going to appear out of the fog, this big white beard, monastic cloak, and just be like, but I don't know, it's just a silly dream. He's probably doing that and you just can't see it. That's probably exactly what he's doing, but he's just like, I'm going to get one up on that silly Father Albert, so I'm going to do it when he's not looking.
Little island.
It is. You could probably, if you got rid of all the people, you could be a hermit here today, I should think. You can see why he wanted to be here.
Yeah, it's just it's a very popular tourist and pilgrimage destination now. Which was someone that was the same problem he had in his own time.
Yeah, exactly. People are just crowding around. You need to go to a place where people still don't go to, which is...
Maybe there is a hermit out there.
Maybe?
Maybe.
I doubt it, but maybe there is.
Well, if there was, he'd want you to doubt it.
That's true. I like how people still leave things at the foot of the cross. Like, even through all this time when all the saints have been forgotten, people still really want to connect in some way.
Yeah.
So the grace that is still here.
Do you know if Vladika John ever came here?
John Maximovich? I don't think he did. Most of the holy sites he visited were in the south. There were missions in the north, but like there was the St Nicholas mission in Liverpool, the Bradford mission. That was the only one he knew about, because he gave them their chalice that Father Paul now has. I don't think he got this far north. I feel like if he did, someone would have noted it.
Yeah.
Which is a pity, because actually he would have loved it here, I think.
Yeah, I think he definitely would have.
He probably just comes to visit now, you never know.
Well, that was beautiful.
It's a very special place, isn't it?
It definitely is. So, very special place indeed.
Now let's try and get down here safely.
That's the challenge, isn't it? People think getting up's hard. It's getting down that's difficult.
Down,
So we've seen the monastery over there,
yeah.
and we've been to the island of St Cuthbert, but Lindisfarne is known for even more than that. And would you be able to comment on what else this island is known for?
It's known for producing several holy bishops. It was founded by Saint Aidan. It was given to him by King Oswald of Northumbria to be a monastic centre, because something which people often forget, is something that still applies to our Orthodox life today, is that really missionary work in the church historically, when it's been successful, has always gone hand in hand with monastic work, monastic centres. And the early missionaries knew this. Saint Aidan himself came from Iona in Scotland, which was a monastic site and had been a source of missionary work in Scotland, in the Celtic Isles. And so when he came here, he wanted to do the same thing. So it was very much in the Celtic tradition, even though it was sent to missionize the Saxons, the Saxon Northumbrians. And initially it was very much focused on kind of Irish spirituality, which has got a lot of parallels to Egyptian spirituality. Actually, there's some interesting articles on this. I mean, even if you look at that island there, St Cuthbert's Island, the idea of having a cell with an oratory where he prayed and a living quarters, that kind of the twofold cell, it's identical to what you find in, say, Scetis in Egypt, that kind of thing. It's very much on a parallel. The idea of having hermits at all is something that died out in the West quite soon after the schism, actually. So you had the main monastic site, but also many hermits, and then holy bishops, like I said, Aidan, Cuthbert, Ecgfrith, I think that's the right name. Later on it became less and less tenable for them to be here when the Norse invaders came from across the sea out from that direction. And started attacking the monasteries. It became harder and harder to keep things here. Initially the relics of St Cuthbert and St Aidan and the other Lindisfarne saints were kept here, but in the end they were moved to Durham Cathedral, which we went to the other day, because they just couldn't keep them safe here. And a lot of locations on the journey south from here towards Durham are named after St Cuthbert, presumably because the coffin with the relics stopped in different locations as they moved down. On the mainland, not far from here, there are various caves which hermits used to live in. There aren't very many caves here on this island, but nearby, all around, there are caves, smaller islands, which were used by hermits. So it is very much like the Northumbrian Scetis, the Northumbrian Nitrian desert, if you like. And on a foggy day like this, even though we can't see very much, it actually helps you to appreciate just how far out this place was, and, you know, just how kind of on the edge it must have felt when they were first establishing this.
Well, it's an incredibly special place.
Even though we can't speak to the monks anymore, we can speak to them in prayer, and maybe they will give us a word of life like they used to say.
Thank you very much.
Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. The choir of the saints has found the fountain of life and the door of paradise. May I also find the way through repentance. I am the sheep that was lost. Call me up to you, O Savior, and save me. Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. You who did fashion me of old out of nothingness, and with your image divine did honor me. But because of transgressions of your commandments, did return me again to the earth, from whence I was taken. Lead me back to be refashioned into that ancient beauty of your likeness. Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. I am the image of your unutterable glory. Though I bear the scars of my stumblings, have compassion upon me, the work of your hands, O sovereign Lord, and cleanse me.
So here we overlook the monastery. This would have been where the likes of St Cuthbert started before he went to his hermitage.
It was quite a large monastery at one point. As I said, after the Viking raids, the number of monks dropped off significantly. There was still a presence here, a monastic presence, for a long time after, but it really lost its importance after kind of the Viking period, really. And then after the Norman invasion, you had all these continental customs come in. A lot of the traditions that were practiced here became less respected, and it lost its influence. Also, bear in mind that this was really the spiritual centre of the Kingdom of Northumbria when England was divided into the seven kingdoms. And this was the spiritual centre of one of those kingdoms. But when the kingdoms became united, obviously there were many different centres of interest, and eventually the focus came to be on Canterbury. And certainly by the High Middle Ages, Canterbury was the main focus of most pilgrimage. Even people coming from abroad to come to Canterbury. And of course, after the schism, we have new saints that we don't venerate in the Orthodox Church that become more important than the Lindisfarne saints. But there was still a cultural memory of St Cuthbert, and he was important in this part of the world. The locals never really lost the veneration of him. An important local saint in the Durham area, for example, is St Godric, who founded the priory of St John the Baptist. He lived on the cusp between the schism and just before and just after the schism, and he was a hermit, and he maintained very much a more orthodox kind of spirituality because he was formed in this place, the pilgrimage to Lindisfarne, and he had a vision of St Cuthbert who told him he needed to adopt a hermit's life. So there were still traces of that way of life that stuck around, but yes, it did decline. It did decline quite quickly. And the rule of life that they followed here was Benedictine, the Benedictine rule. Founded by Benedict of Nursia, who's also commemorated as an Orthodox saint. We owe some parts of the daily cycle of services is owed to the Benedictine rule. For example, some people think that some elements of small compline are derived from the Benedictine rule. It can be hard to verify exactly what, but there's something about that.
And that's what was followed here?
Yes.
Did return me again to the earth from whence I was taken. Lead me back to be refashioned into that ancient beauty of your likeness. Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. I am the image of your unutterable glory, though I bear the scar.
Now we're leaving Lindisfarne, and I don't know if it's quite showing up on the camera, but you should be able to more clearly see the poles that would guide the pilgrims on the way. Now the pub. That's it, bye bye Lindisfarne.
In the Holy Fathers of Lindisfarne, pray to God for us.
So that concludes the end of the videos. We hope that you really enjoyed the series. We know that everyone that went on the pilgrimage has all really enjoyed themselves, and I certainly enjoyed creating these videos. If you ever want to get involved in anything like this, you can always message us, t.me/British Orthodox, or you can comment down in the comments below and we'll get back to you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. The choir of the saints has found the fountain of life and the door of paradise.